Good morning, everyone. Jeff and I are heading out to Malamunda again today. It's a really nice foggy morning. I'm hoping it stays foggy for Jeff's sake. Just trying to, it's rainy season right now, and we're trying to put him in harder situations because it's easy when you're flying with an instructor sometimes, or if it's easy if it's beautiful weather out. But I'm hoping that it's going to be a little bit of work today, at least getting out of here. Well, we're heading out there. We've got 6 passengers to pick up, and we have to take our bare minimum fuel out there just because we're like right on the border of how much we can actually get out of there. We've got a penalty of 175 kgs to get out of there. So with 2 pilots, we're taking our VFR minimum fuel to get out there and back with a tiny bit extra in case we have to do a go around or something like that. Well, we really didn't have that much going on this morning because we don't have any passengers, we don't have any cargo. We're just going out there to pick these guys up. So we're gonna go ahead and load up and get out of here.
Good morning, Goroka Tower, November Tango Kilo.
November Tango Kilo, Goroka Tower, good morning.
Request taxi, Malamunda to POB.
November Tango Kilo, taxi for runway 17 left, enter backtrack lineup. QNH 1020, time check 57.
1020, enter backtrack and lineup 17 left, November Tango Kilo. And morning, Raiden.
Morning, Ryan, and Jeff.
Morning, Troop.
I'm glad that the clouds are still here. I was kind of hoping that we could do the instrument departure. This rainy season has been absolutely pathetic.
It really has, hasn't it?
Since it hasn't been raining that much. It turned to dry season a little too fast.
Goroka Tower, November Tango Kilos is ready, 17 left, request left turn and then report overhead.
November Tango Kilo, roger, 17 left, make a left turn to sail post overhead, clear for takeoff.
Clear for takeoff, left turn, November Tango Kilo. Ignition, prop, condition, 20, belts and fuel. 1390. On the power. Oh, airspeed's coming up. There's our 50 knots.
I guess this is going to be about 100 or 200 max speed thick.
I'm seeing blue there.
Yeah, I know. Seeing some light patches out on the ground up there, which makes it sound or look like it's just going to be more of like a thick broken, maybe 7/8 broken or something.
More to the right here, stay on course.
And another perfect day on top.
I'll go left and report overhead.
Okay. Yeah, it is just kind of even out here, it's more of like 7.5, 8. Oh, look at that, and it clears right up over just a couple miles south. One nice thing about doing a left-hand turn too is it gets you the extra altitude because we're already at 7,500
versus trying to turn towards the terrain.
Well, especially when there are clouds. If there was no clouds, then who cares? But when there are clouds, now you have to, instead of just getting up at over 8,500 or so, 9,000 to get over them, now we're probably going to have to be maybe 10.5 or something like that, maybe even a little bit higher to get over top of them.
Rocket Tower, November Tango Kilos, overhead the field, time 04. Be tracking 290 on climb, 12,000, estimate compiem 44.
November Tango Kilo, copied 12,000 and contact Moresby on 120.1, secondary HF 65908 at 15 miles.
120.1 or 65908 at 15, November Tango Kilo. 500 feet to go on our climb. I think that altitude's going to work all the way there. Moresby 120.1, November Tango Kilo on transfer.
November Tango Kilo, Moresby standby.
Oh, there's way more clouds out here than I was expecting. Like, look at this, it's like a blanket. Like, it wasn't really showing that. I don't remember on,
yeah, and it sure didn't look like it on even on satellite.
No, not at all.
November Tango Kilo, Moresby good.
November Tango Kilo is 19 miles to the west, Goroka, maintaining 12,000, estimating overhead compiem, time 39er.
November Tango Kilo, no reported traffic, area QNH 1008.
1008, November Tango Kilo, thanks.
If you guys can see this over here, but this is our tallest mountain, Mount Wilhelm. I've cloned you guys up over top of that. Jeff and I just recently went up over the top of that. Well, we tried to, but there was too many clouds. Really pretty lakes. Probably an awesome hike up to the top. 15,000 feet or just a couple feet shy of it.
November Tango Kilo Moresby, confirm, he'll be remaining outside the Hagen zone.
Yeah.
November Tango Kilo, we will remain OCTA.
November Tango Kilo, when convenient, request an estimate abeam EGIRU.
November Tango Kilo, standby. EGIRU. Moresby 120.1, November Tango Kilo.
November Tango Kilo, Moresby good.
November Tango Kilo, abeam EGIRU, time 31.
November Tango Kilo, abeam EGIRU, colon 128.5.
128.5, abeam EGIRU, November Tango Kilo.
We're just 20 minutes out of Malamunda. The clouds, there's just so many more clouds than kind of what we were expecting coming out here, which is fine. But we just really went over this a real quick scenario on if we cannot land in Malamunda, what are we going to do? Because we have our minimum VFR fuel, which basically means get out here, we can land, do a circuit, and we can go back to Goroka and do a circuit, and we'll have 50 pounds on top of basically, well actually no, we'll have 380 pounds landing at Goroka, which is an hour and 10 minutes. So that extra 50 is 10 minutes. In case we have to do an extra circuit out here, or maneuver off course, or whatever.
Moresby 128.5, November Tango Kilo position.
November Tango Kilo, go ahead.
November Tango Kilo is abeam compiem, maintaining 12,000, estimating Malamunda time 59er.
November Tango Kilo, COVID 12,000, taking estimate Malamanda.
59er, November Tango Kilo.
November Tango Kilo, no reported traffic for descent, 6 area, calling in this frequency, no contact, 6538.
This frequency or 6538 at Malamunda, November Tango Kilo.
So we quickly looked at our chart. What's the closest airstrip that we could go to, that for one, that we're checked out in, that we fly to, I wouldn't say regularly, but a few times a year, and that is Maruyama, which is just a 6-minute flight down into the sea peak. Now we have fuel up at Yivki, which is probably about a 13-minute flight, but it's over the mountains, and if there's this many clouds, then we're not sure if we can get into there, so we waste our fuel getting up there to find out that we actually can't land there either. So our best option is getting out towards the sea peak, the lower lands, this, like, you know, the plains, and kind of just the swampy areas. So looking out that way, it looks gorgeous. So we basically quickly ran a scenario. If we went out there, came back, and then what are our options? Because we can't make it back to Goroka now, because we're going to get down into our reserve. we can stop by Mount Hagen and pick up fuel and still land there with our minimum VFR reserve, which is an hour of fuel. So those are some things that we were just talking about that I kind of wanted to mention to you that are going on through our head, because if you're not a pilot and if you don't fly in scenarios like this where it's just always, you know, you can get a great weather report, like we just don't have great weather reports. And the weather report that we did look at on Windy, it's just a lot different than what we were anticipating, I should say. But that's okay. This is kind of what I was talking about before we left, as I want these type of scenarios to come up so that we can talk about these things before he's out here flying solo, and he might not even consider those things because he hasn't had to come up to these things yet, and then fly out there and then just come back to Goroka when there are other options on actually picking up our passengers. So we're about 15 minutes out. We're going to go over the strip chart here in a second, and it's actually looking, now that we're just right on that corner, it's actually not looking terrible. It looks more just like maybe like a broken cloud, so we'll see.
730 meter long runway, we're going to be landed 08. Circuit elevation is 3200, left circuit. And I think the biggest thing with this one is we want to track out, not squared up, but follow that ridge to get us out far enough to kind of have an oblique final, so that
you're coming in on the ridge, not the ridge isn't going like this and you're coming like this, you're going with the ridge coming at an angle, right?
Yeah, so tracking out here and then coming in this direction, just so that, yeah, you can shoot for those, there's that kind of break in the trees, and you're descending and you're a little more lined up with the runway rather than trying to turn.
Yeah, it's less of a turn on your final.
Exactly.
Yes, I agree. Yep, I think that would work great.
All right, so committal point's the river, and it's a left turn.
And let's just say, worst case scenario, we can't land here, we can't land at Madiyama. What are you doing?
Can't land here or Madiyama? I'm probably going to Wewak.
Probably are?
I think I'd like to go to Wewak. I think that's going to be our, because of all the clouds, like this direction, it's looking open in Wewak. I think that's our alternate at that point.
Okay. Another thing I thought about is Madiyama's not cut all the time.
Okay.
So
if they don't know we're coming,
yeah, because they usually only cut it if they know we're coming. So they might have left it out there, and it might be 1.5 feet high. So that's another thing that we have to consider is
we are fairly light, so it does help. But it's I've only been out to Madiyama like twice.
Yeah, it's flat, it's an easy approach, and it's a late go-round, so if you're not familiar, you can see now their line has actually changed. It's just lining it up with the runway, so that kind of from any position in the circuit, because it's not really like this nice little cookie cutter, you know, rectangle box, we can just see, oh, I'm parallel, perpendicular with the runway. That's why we do that.
All stations, Malamanda, 128.5 November Tango Kilo is 15 miles to the east, 7,300 on descent, estimating circuit time 5:08. All stations, Malamanda. I'm going to go ahead and start slowing down now. We are a little high. Get our descent right back in here.
It is looking like it's clear in the valley. But he had at least that portion of the day, right?
Yep. I'll just shoot for that saddle there, and then we can kind of make a left turn and get a nice good look at the runway, enter our downwind.
Sounds good. If you guys are interested in picking up one of these checklist boxes, check out my website below. I've got them for 152s, I got them for more complex piston airplanes like twin engines and retractable gear, as well as the turbine plane which we're flying today. And also, just to plug for my own sunglasses, man, I've been using these things for 1.5 years now, and they're glass lenses, they really do hold up. I'm actually really impressed with the quality. I have these also, and then I have a polarized version of it, like a more of the classic aviator. So anyway, we're now just getting into the circuit. I have myself on mute just so I'm not a bother to him if people are concerned. All right, so I'm just going to let you do your thing. I'll probably mute myself. I can still hear you if you have something to say, just so I can explain what you're doing, but I don't.
Winds are looking nice and calm. Just a little bit of crosswind potentially. Maybe a little bit of tailwind, but we'll keep evaluating.
So what he's going to plan on doing is he's going to fly pretty much at the end of this runway so that he can look down, evaluate the runway. What we're checking for when we fly overhead is we're just checking to see, for one, how wet does it look. They said it didn't have any rain last night. We're checking to see if there's kids or potentially animals, or maybe they're mowing the grass or something like that. And then we're also looking to see if the windsock is actually showing anything. Most of the time at these places it doesn't show anything, so we really just use our G1000 just to let us know what the winds are going to be doing. Looks like the whole pattern is going to be wide open, which is perfect because that's what we really need today. What we do is we see this cross track up here. We'll fly out 0.9 miles, then we'll turn our downwind. Myself, I use really key positions in everything that we do. That's how my brain works. Rather than intuitive flying, I just fly on just like really standardized things, and it works well with my brain. So that's what I'm trying to instill into Jeff as well.
With margin, we'll get 20 degrees of flaps in.
The thing that I look for is I look at that smoke over there, and I'm just looking to see what the winds are doing. It looks like it's just going straight up, so that's something that I'm looking for just to get a better idea of what it's looking like on the final.
Smoke's looking calm. Maybe 3 knots of headwind on landing. Up and harnesses are done. There's a gap in the trees, and I want to be slow into 70, and then turn to final 64. For that first cone, we're coming up on our committal point. Are fast. And coming up on committal. Continue. Moresby 6538 November Tango Kilo on the ground, Malamanda, Kansulsar.
Alright guys, well this is I think Jeff's third time coming in here, maybe something like that, maybe third or fourth landing here. It's great to be able to come back to these places, and thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch. We sure do appreciate it. I'm going to throw the drone up for you guys while we get out here, just because this is our only flight today and we're not in a huge rush. So I'm going to show you just around just a little bit. I have shown you guys before a couple things here, but I don't really have that much drone footage, so let me throw the drone up real quick for you guys.